In 1965, I was elected as the 8th president of the Women's Missionary Union of 3rd Baptist Church for 5 glorious years. My administration knew it was time for change, so the new theme was the new era. In this new era, the WMU went under a major structural change. We went from 40 working committees and officers to 6 working groups. Some of the new groups were leadership training, spiritual life, administration, and a special committee that included the nursery, arts and craft, the fellowship, and celebration of the birthdays. With this new structure, we were able to reduce the general meeting time from 4 hours to about 2 hours. Most of the general meetings were held during the week and consisted of about 100 plus women in attendance and 38 persons in my cabinet. Secondly, we increased the outreach budget to the Anchor Rescue Mission, the Scandinavian Mission, and the state missionaries. Dr. Mario Ross is the president of the National Baptist Women's Auxiliary to the National Baptist USA Incorporated. And we had her my first year, 1966. She came to us with as her first visit to Northern California. She came as the speaker for our pastor's 35th anniversary. And while she was here, we had her for 1 week to do workshops, training, and so forth for the WMU, and visit our other conventions and our other auxiliaries and conventions, including the American Baptist Women of the Golden Gate Association. And she was just an excellent asset to the women. The calendar tea was our second fundraiser for 1968. And Mrs. Capitae and Beatrice Sims were the chairs for this calendar tea, but each circle had a month, and that table was decorated, and all of their guests was around the tables and some special seating. And the theme was climbing Jacob's ladder. All of the guests, the church was, you're talking about a full auditorium at 3rd Baptist Church. It was filled with guests and women. This was a beautiful program where you took step by step climbing Jacob's ladder from January through December. That was in 1969, the Day of Awakening, which was the unveiling of the WMU's history, the pioneers of the early 30s. We honored the following women: Miss Cordelia Clifton, who was our first president of the Women's Society, and the second president was Florence Faggett. And then these other women, Marion Johnson, Mother Mary Stevens, Mother Anderson, and Sister Roan, all of us knew her, and Beatrice Brown. The joy of my life to see, or try to see, that my pastor, F.D. Haynes the greatest desire was to have 3rd Baptist name on a cabin in Africa. So the theme for our last program was Build That Cabin. And Miss Etta Lee Cheatham, the one person that all of us just caught the joy when she saw that we could do something of this sort. So the theme was Build That Cabin, where all of the women got together and said they were going to make a contribution, and it was a personal contribution, that we would collect the money, and whatever amount it was, that would go for Build That Cabin. So they came up with a theme where we would have a contest between all 12 of the circles. The women had a contest that they would make a contribution, and each circle made its contribution, and the winning circles, all together we did $1,000, and it was 3 contestants at the highest, and that was Mrs. Joseph happened to be the winner of that. And this money was given to me to go to Africa, go to the National Convention Board meeting in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And at that time, Reverend Haynes did not stand with us, but Mr. Pryor, who was the chair of the trustee board at that time, stood as I presented this check to Dr. Jackson, our national president